the Democrats have abandoned this woman. People aren't just running to Trump. They're running away from the chaos that the Democrats created. And this woman, she's the warning shot.
So you were a Democrat?
I was my whole life.
Really?
I first voted for Bill Clinton and voted Democrat every single year until, November.
And what do you think of Trump now? What do you think of his policies on deportation?
You know what? I can't tell you specifics about his policies, but what I will tell you is that it was not for Donald Trump, we might still be living next to gang members because everything changed after he was elected.
So you feel a lot safer now that he's in the White House again? I
do, because he's taking it seriously. The Democrats simply ignored it. They said it was lies. They won't talk to people who have been victimized by this.
Now, I know you said you were a gun owner.
I am.
Yeah. Are you a gun owner?
Now we are.
Oh, wow.
Because of this?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you've turned from like a Democrat, Bill Clinton supporter to now a gun owner. Did you think that would happen?
Never in my life. I'm the last person. Absolutely the last person. I used to have a group called Teachers United for Immigrant Rights. We can't just have anyone cross the border. And if they're showing us that their intentions are not to live in a peaceful way with us, then why not deport them? And so people are arguing about the policies of that. And they're talking about due process. But I think we need to look at, do we interpret due process for people who have crossed our border illegally differently than U.S. citizens? Because
exactly.
I think we also have due process, right? I mean, we're talking about the right to live peacefully.
Exactly, man. And this is why, I got to give the Democrats a whole lot of credit because of your incompetence, we're starting to get people to float over off of that Democrat plantation and over into the common sense category and realizing the facts of the situations. She was a pro-migrant, lifelong Democrat. She even ran an immigrants' rights organization or group or something like that, defending immigrant rights and stuff like that, until obviously the neighborhood changed and she started to see it for herself. Then it became not about politics, but about survival. Some that I observed, and I want you to pay attention to. When did she become a gun owner? She didn't become a gun owner out of rebellion. She became one out of fear, real fear. And that's fear that the Democrat policies created. Then denied. When the party that claims to protect women leaves them defenseless, what the hell do they really stand for in the first place? And then on top of that, why is the U.S. citizens, or why do we have to suffer at the cost of trying to protect people who aren't even supposed to be here? Man, if you need a gun to feel safe in your own neighborhood, can y'all call that progress, Democrats? Now, it's not just the everyday citizens waking up. Even the celebrities, the ones who are supposed to go along with the narrative, are calling it what it is. Rob Schneider, my guy right here, breaks down why the Democrats lost. When the Hollywood actor, that is, goes off script, that's how you know that is real, bro. It's getting real Holly weird out here.
Still seem confused as to why they lost this election. They want to think it has something to do with misogyny or racism. Well, let me clear it up for those still bewildered Democrats.
Uh-oh.
You lost because you tried to tell the American people that the economy was great when they couldn't afford to buy groceries.
Mm-hmm.
You lost because you ran a moron in place of a president you knew was a corpse attached to a car battery. Even the Amish, who never voted.
Facts.
It's like, honey, go, Hilda, go get my horse. I don't know what electricity is, but I know one thing. I'm definitely voting against this dipshit. Democrats, you lost because you tried to convince the American people that it was racist-y to close the border and not let people come in illegally to rob and murder them. You lost because nobody gives a fuck about the term Latinx. You lost because your Justice Department called parents who showed up at school board meetings terrorists just for not wanting pornography in their children's classrooms. You lost, Democrats, you lost because you lied about January 6th, calling it worse than Pearl Harbor or 9/11, instead of what January 6th really was, the FBI guided tour of the Capitol building.
Yes, sir. We seen the footage.
You lost, Democrats, because men can't have babies, women don't have dicks, even if they play in the WNBA. And free speech isn't a privilege like a driver's license. It's a God-given right guaranteed by our Constitution. You lost because you colluded with tech companies like Facebook to silence Americans. You lost because you fired doctors, nurses, scientists, and frontline workers for refusing to take an experimental gene therapy because my body, my choice only counts if it's about abortion.
Yup.
You lost because during the pandemic, you closed churches and small businesses, but kept open strip clubs, liquor stores, and Walmarts, and wanted us to mask up between bites. I'm just grateful that the American people saw through Oprah's lies, saying that you will never vote again if Trump wins. America didn't fall for Obama in his mama jeans, trying to shame black men into voting for Kamala just because they may have mommy problems or issues. I'm glad nobody listened to Kamala Harris because she never really said what she stood for.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, just like her party, she stood for nothing. The Democrats had no policy this year. Their only hope, besides calling Trump Hitler every chance they had, was that their hope was that Americans would hate Donald Trump more than they love their country, and they failed miserably because Americans love their country. Americans love their country. It is a nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. And as we bid farewell to the third Obama administration, and as we witness the woke mind virus gasping its last diversity, equity, and inclusion breath, we welcome the gift the Democrats have bestowed onto us, that now the Republican Party is the party of the people. I'm grateful to President Trump for having Robert Kennedy as our next Health and Human Services Secretary. Because we need to make America healthy again. 70% of our American men no longer can qualify for the health standards to be in our Army. We need to get all of you need to get healthy again. Walk 10,000 steps a day. We need to get all of us healthy. We need to. Because if you love your country, you want to have your kids healthy again. We got to get to the bottom. We got to kick out the pharma stooges who have been in charge of our CDC. We need to somehow, we cannot have food that is not okay, that Europe won't have, that Canada won't have, but it is okay to poison our own American people. That shit has to stop. This is a nation under God, and America has decided that Donald Trump will make America great again.
Yes, sir.
And lastly, you lost because you can't give $100 billion to Ukraine and only $700 to American fire victims in Maui.
I know that's right.
And only $800 to American hurricane victims in North Carolina.
He said what all these Hollywood actors are afraid to say because of their careers and things of that nature, man. Shout out to him, man. This wasn't just a loss at the ballot box. It was a loss to the trust, public trust of reality, and connection with the American people. Like, how do we get to a point where telling the truth is literally controversial these days? And it's taking these comedians to actually report the truth that these media, legacy media, somebody called it lame media, refuse to report. You know, the Democrats, man, they don't care about free speech unless it's approved opinions on their side. Plus, this ain't no theory. This is actual policy. I got a video coming up where I'm going to show y'all when Obama approved $310 million to give to legal immigrants for free lawyers. But obviously, families, us Americans, well, not us, but these hurricane victims can't even get help beyond $700, as Rob pointed out. So again, man, this isn't about being pro-Trump. It's about honestly being pro-sanity. Yeah. And we can't deny that people are waking up more and more every single day, and it's due to a lot of what the Democrats are doing, man. And not because they're being persuaded, but because they're literally being pushed by their actions. The very people they voted for. Y'all be safe. Go check out somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.